Okie dokie, ho ho! Let's go!
Hey guys, it's Retrohead here, and welcome back to another video. Today I got a bit of a different video. I recently made a purchase from CEX, and it's to do with the Game Boy, and that has inspired me to do my entire Game Boy collection video, a little bit of history about each Game Boy and all the games I've got for them. So the purchase that inspired me to do this was I recently went to CEX, and I've bought lately loads of DVDs and games to trade in. I've just been really lucky with like the DVDs and stuff I managed to find. A lot of the stuff I trade in is like Xbox One and 360 games just because I don't collect those consoles, and at the minute there's a lot of trading value on those games. So I've managed to buy myself a Game Boy Pocket in the box, which is a really nice one as it's the silver one with a silver border, and I don't have this one in my collection yet. And this has inspired me to do a video about all of my Game Boys and games I have in my collection. Sort of a bit like the evolution of Game Boy as well. And first one I'm just going to show you this, as this is like the newest thing in my collection. The box is in pretty good condition. I was a bit dubious as to whether this box was authentic, but I have authenticated it. I looked on eBay listings and stuff. And I'll just show you inside as well, as it's in really good condition inside. It also has its little precautions booklet inside about how to use the system and stuff. And here we have the actual console itself. This is in really nice condition. There's not much scratching on the screens, and I'm really looking forward to trying this one out. So as you can see, this is where I stand, and I've got all of my Game Boys laid out to show you. So the first one is up here. This won't fit on like the little shelves I've got. And this is an original Game Boy. Now this is the only one that I haven't took out of the box just because it's such a mint in box copy. As you can see by the condition of it, it's absolutely beautiful. I'm not comfortable with taking it out of the box, so that's staying firmly in the box. And we also have the Game Boy printer here. This is also in the box. I've never actually used this as I don't have any Game Boy printer paper for it. But yeah, the original Game Boy will always be my favourite just because it's the OG. It's the original. It's always going to be the best one. Moving on down here, we have the box Game Boy Pocket that you just saw. I literally bought this only a couple of days ago, but I'm super pleased with it. I love the silver. But next to it, we have a boxed black Game Boy Pocket, which I also love the black. It's like so stealth, so Batman looking. So those are both in the box. I absolutely love those in my collection. Moving on, we have the lime green Game Boy Color. This is in really nice condition. A lot of these, well, near enough all of them actually, were bought cheaper than they should have been, if you know what I mean. Like, I'm not made of money. I can't just go out and buy all these at full market price. So in a minute, I'll go through all of them and how I bought them cheaper. But here we have the grape Game Boy Color. This one's also in the box and in very nice condition. Game Boy Advance SP. This one is in absolutely mint condition. Literally looks brand new. I'll tell you how I got that one in a minute, but very happy with that one in the collection. Here we have an indigo. I forget what this colour's called. It's like a translucent purpley kind of colour. You can see it there. But this is a really nice Game Boy Advance to have. I love the translucent ones. Next up, we have apparently a limited edition platinum, but I don't think this is particularly limited. I think these are quite common, the silver ones, but this one is also in the box. And we have the most common Game Boy Advance, the purple one. I absolutely love the purple on this. I really do like the colour purple, to be fair, so I'm always going to like that one. The Game Boy Micro, this is one of the most expensive ones I have, but it's just so cool to have a micro in the box, and here it is here. And I still think this was released in 2005, I believe. I think it's 2005. And it's so, like, compared to a Game Boy Color, if I just pop it there, look at how small that is. And it's like so futuristic looking still today. I absolutely love the Game Boy Micro. So cool. And then this one, so this is the, hello, you can see me in the reflection. This is a really cool story I've got to tell you about this Game Boy Color. I don't know if I've ever told this on the channel before, because I've had this longer than any other Game Boy. I've had this one the longest. It's not boxed. But my grandma does church tombola tombolas, and she got this Game Boy in like a big box of stuff, but this was for the bric-a-brac. They couldn't use it as a tombola prize, and I was very, very young at the time. I'd say maybe 4, but I still knew what a Game Boy Color was, and she just let me have it. It also came with an unboxed copy of Tony Hawk's 2 on the Game Boy Color, so that is probably one of my favourite ones for the memories it's got, just because it's like so funny but so cool how I actually managed to pick it up. So how did I get all these systems then? So these two were gifts from my parents for Christmas one year. This one, as you know, I got for free from my grandma because she just gave it to me. This Game Boy Pocket has just been through trading in box sets, Xbox games, so I don't really collect for Xbox. This probably ended up costing me like 30 quid instead of 120 quid. This one was a purchase from the Retro Realm. This one, you don't really get this in CEX no more, but this was unboxed price, but in the box, and I don't really know why. It works absolutely fine. It's got all of its inserts, paperwork inside, but this was unboxed price. That was at the Ipswich CEX store. And this one was also in Ipswich, not at the same time, but I just went game hunting there quite a lot. And this is a grape Game Boy Color, but this one was in the cash exchange pawn shop, and this was only 70 quid, which is an absolutely crazy good price, and it's in lovely condition, all working and everything. This one was a gift from my auntie, years and years and years ago. This Indigo one, this one is quite cool, because this I bought from Cash Converters quite cheap, just the console, no box. And I bought the box on eBay, won it really cheap on bids. The silver one, this again was a voucher CEX purchase. The Indigo one, now, I bought this from a car boot for a £5 absolutely years ago. Like, when Game Boys, they weren't really worth anything at the time anyway, but it was still an absolutely awesome purchase for a £5. That was an eBay box only. And then the Micro, which you can see is there, was yet again another voucher purchase. So I managed to get all these Game Boys in my collection so far, and I absolutely love them. I'd love to go for more of the different colours at some point, because I just think they look absolutely amazing on the shelf, especially in their original boxes. So when did all these consoles come out then? So the original Game Boy, my favourite, came out in 1989, and as you can see, this box is like absolutely mint condition. It must have just like been opened once for like Christmas, maybe some kid got it for Christmas and just never touched it again. But I'm so happy to have this in the collection, and the original Game Boy will always be the best for me. So the Game Boy Pockets, these came out in 1996, so quite a lot later after the Game Boy. Now, as you know, I'm not going to get my Game Boy out of that box, because I'm just never taking it out of the box again. It's in too good a condition. But these are a lot smaller than the original game. Better battery life and slightly better resolution on the screen, which is really handy when you're playing those Game Boy games in the dark when you just can't see what's going on. Anyone that's played a Game Boy will know all about that. The Game Boy Colors came out not too long after the Game Boy Pockets, actually. These are the colours in 1998. And these, again, are really hard to see in the dark. They're not backlit, which is ultra annoying, because like the Game Gear, that came out years and years and years before and was backlit. And these are not backlit, which is super annoying, so it's still really hard to see these. The Game Boy Advance, these came out in 2001, and these are not backlit again, which is so annoying, but they did put a backlight in the SP. I think it's either a back or front lit. I'm not into like modern consoles and stuff, so I don't really know, but as you can see here, this button at the top is used to change the brightness of the screen, which is an absolute godsend when you're playing games in the dark. And then the final one, the Micro, came out in 2005. This came out after the DS, which was like kind of no point in a Game Boy console coming out after the DS. So that did not sell very well, which is why it's so rare to find today. So now to show you some of my original Game Boy games. I'm not going to show you any loose games in my collection, because we'll literally be here all day, because I've got so many loose ones. But I'm just going to show you the boxed ones. So the first one is Super Mario Land. I love this game. This is one of the first proper retro games I ever played when I was really young. And it's just such a good Mario platformer. This one doesn't have an insert, but it does have its manual and cartridge. And I actually bought this for unboxed price from CEX, so instead of it being around £45 to £50, it was only 15 quid. Sadly, this was long before I started a YouTube channel, but this complete, just without the insert, with the manual for 15 quid, is a great deal, and a great game if you haven't played it already. The next game is Mario and Yoshi. Quite a good puzzle game, but kind of overshadowed by Dr. Mario, but I think not enough people talk about this game. And this one was a box price game from CEX, but as you can see, it looks brand new. And I'm so pleased to have one in this good a condition. If you've watched the channel before, you'll know I'm going for every Mario game, so this one in this condition was a great game to tick off that list. And next up we have Dr. Mario. I do kind of prefer this to Mario and Yoshi, but I still think that Mario and Yoshi doesn't get talked about enough. But this game is a really good puzzle game. It's never going to be as good as Tetris. But this is still a really good game, and I love the artwork on these original Game Boy games. Absolutely awesome stuff. Next up on the Game Boy, we have Wario Blast featuring Bomberman. I have played this game, and it's a really, really good game. I do love Bomberman as well as Wario, so I had to have this game. And the artwork on the front. This is probably one of my favourite box arts of any game ever. I just love the bright yellow and then like the darker blue in the background. I love the artwork on this game. Let me know if you do in the comments down below. The next game is probably after Tetris, the most common Game Boy game, and that is Game Boy Gallery 5-in-1. This one is just a nice cheap one to tick off the list. It's in the box and in very nice condition. Now this is one of the Game Boy games that I haven't actually tried yet. It looks pretty good from the back. It doesn't look like a particularly good game, but I will have to give this one a try at some point. Next up we have tennis. Now not many people know, but the umpire in this game is actually Mario. He does feature in this game. And this is actually quite a good tennis game. I do really like tennis games. I've got quite a few behind me in the box there. But yeah, I love tennis games. I was really impressed with this game when I tried it. And the controls actually worked really well with it on the Game Boy. I was quite surprised how easy it was to control the ball. Next up, we have F1 Race. This game is brilliant. I love my F1 games, any driving games. And this game is really good on the Game Boy. And again, I think this game controls really well on the Game Boy. I think it's something about the D-pad on the Game Boy. Is like, I really like it for controlling those fast-paced games. And this is a really good game. If you don't like driving games, I probably wouldn't suggest picking it up. But if you do like driving games, this is a great game to try. Next up on the Game Boy, we have a couple more F1 games. I did tell you I do love my F1. And the first one is Ferrari Grand Prix Challenge. I bought this from a shop in King's Lynn. I forget what it's called. The Retro Retreat in King's Lynn. And it's literally it's in incredible condition. And I only paid £8 for this. And I thought for an original Game Boy game in that condition and complete for £8 was an absolute bargain. And like I said, I do have one more F1 game, and that is Nigel Mansell's World Championship. This was a Facebook Marketplace purchase years ago for just a £5, and again, complete Game Boy games in the box for a £5. I can't resist. And this is also on the SNES, which I do have behind me somewhere. Where is it? I do have it, yeah. Here it is. Nigel Mansell on the SNES as well. A really good game on both the Game Boy and the SNES. And finally we have Monopoly. This is a great game. Monopoly is just iconic and I love Monopoly. I've played absolutely hundreds of games of Monopoly with my dad, you know, like real board game version, not on the Game Boy. I've played it once on the Game Boy. And it was actually pretty cool to play this on the Game Boy. It was actually like quite a fun game to play. So yeah, if you see this one cheap, I'd definitely suggest picking this one up. Next up we have Game Boy Color. So as you saw, I have an unboxed version of the Atomic Purple Game Boy Color. A box lime and grape Game Boy Color as well. And for the box games, I have Game & Watch Gallery 3. This is again another one of those games I love the artwork on. And it's a really good selection of little Game & Watch games. And obviously Game & Watches are hugely expensive. So this cartridge is a really good cartridge to have. Also on the Game Boy Color, I have Donkey Kong Country. This is a very recent purchase, actually on my last video. I bought this from Doorway to Darkness. This doesn't have the manual or the insert, but it was only £18, which is a really good price for this game. So I am looking out for a manual and insert on this one, but I've played it and it is so good. Not as good as the SNES version, which I do have somewhere here. Here it is. Donkey Kong Country. Not as good as the SNES version, but this game is still really good. I think all the Donkey Kong games, to be honest, are like really good. They seem to be really well made games. So I would recommend this one if you see it on your travels. The next Game Boy Color game I have is Wario Land 3. Now this is awesome, this game. I do like the Wario games a lot. I'm a bit of a sucker for a Wario game. I do really also enjoy the WarioWare games as well, like the party games. But this game is really fun. It's such a good platformer. This is not a cheap game. I think it's about 40 quid in the box now, like with the manual. But it is probably worth that, to be fair. It is a good game. But loose, it's probably like about 15 quid. So if you do just want to play this game, you could buy it loose for cheaper. But I do collect in box, so I had to have it in the box. But yeah, this is a really good game if you haven't tried it. I love Aardman, so I had to have Chicken Run when I saw it. Now this isn't actually a cheap game, it's like quite expensive, and I bought this for £2 at the car boot, which is a great find. It doesn't have its manual or its insert, which is a shame, but for £2 it was a great purchase. Let me know if you love Aardman. Obviously my favourite is Wallace and Gromit. I absolutely love Wallace and Gromit.
I like a 3-minute egg. Whoa, steady on. Wow! Gromit! Oh!
Next up, we have Tonka Raceway. As you know, I'm going to say it again, I love racing games. And this one is a bit different. Obviously, Tonka toys, like Tonka toys, Tonka cars. And this is a great little game to play. And the box is very nice on this copy. And this was a birthday present years ago, so I was really pleased to have this one. Next up, we have Looney Tunes Racing. I love racing, and Looney Tunes are really cool as well. And this is a really lovely game for the artwork on the front. It's just so cool. Now, this is complete in box, apart from the fact that it does say free stickers inside. It doesn't have the stickers. It's just got, obviously, the game and the manual and stuff. But it is a shame for it not to have those stickers. But this is a really fun game, and one that I'd highly recommend if you see it out and about. Next up, we have Snoopy Tennis. Now, I bought the cartridge loose from CEX for like £2 or £3, I think, like years ago. And I bought the box off eBay separately, and the box is really nice in this copy as well. And I do really like Snoopy, and I like the animations and like the artworks on these types of games. And I do really like tennis, so this is an awesome game, and also loose on CEX. I think it's still just a couple of quid. And it's a really fun game, so definitely pick that one up if you see it. The next game is Tetris DX. Not as good as the original Tetris. I've played countless versions of Tetris, but none of them are as good as the original. It's still a pretty good game. It's still, like, if it wasn't called Tetris, I'd say, yeah, it's a great puzzle game, but just because it doesn't have the magicalness of original Tetris, it's not as good for me, but there is some great versions of Tetris out there, and this is a fun game. Going from a fun game to a less than fun game, and that is Mary, Kate and Ashley's Winner's Circle. You may have seen I did a short about this. I bought this from CEX, and I just, like, couldn't believe that I bought it, but it was only £6. And it is complete with the manual and all of its brochures inside, so for £6 I had to pick it up. Now, I'm not going to say anything about each Game Boy Advance games. I have played them, near enough all of them, but there's just too many to say about each one. So here we go. We have Mario Advance, a great game. We have Super Mario Advance 4 Mario Bros. 3. This is also a great game as well. And one that I still need to try out, and that is Yoshi's Island Super Mario Advance 3. Then we have Mario Kart Super Circuit. This game is absolutely awesome. Then a couple of NES Classics games. So we have Donkey Kong, a port of the NES version. And then a port of the NES version of Super Mario Bros. This is also a great game if you haven't tried it, but I'm sure you have because Mario Bros. Is iconic. Then we have Mario vs Donkey Kong, an awesome puzzle game. They also do these on the DS and Switch and stuff like that. Mario Ball, a really good pinball game, which is probably a hidden gem on the Game Boy Advance. I love that game. Mario Power Tennis, not quite as good as the other Sports Mario games, but still a great game. And then this one that I really enjoy, because it's a bit of like an RPG as well, which is quite strange. And that is Mario Golf Advanced Tour. Then we have Wario Land 4, a great platformer. And then coming on to some really good platformers, we have Donkey Kong Country. Then we have Donkey Kong Country 2. And then, this is a great game, quite expensive, but this is such a good game. And that is Donkey Kong King of Swing. Definitely search up some gameplay of this game if you haven't tried it, because it is brilliant. These next couple of games are American copies of Game Boy Advance games, but they do still work on Game Boy Advance. So we have Namco Museum. This game's a great game to have on any system, because there's some great Namco games out there. Then we have Winnie the Pooh's Rumbly Tummy Adventure. This is not the best, to be honest. And then we have Nicktoons Racing. This game is actually quite good. I'm a bit of a sucker for those little kart games. Not the best game of all time, but still a pretty good game. Then we have Disney Princesses. Then Hot Potato. And also a game that I have never tried yet, but it does look quite good. And that is Polarium Advance. This game looks great. And I won this on eBay for bids for like ridiculously cheap. The postage was more than the actual game was in the end, which is quite funny. Next up we have a really good game, and that is Konami Crazy Racers. A bit of a Mario Kart copy, but I still really enjoyed that one. And this one, again, this is really different. Soccer Kid. This is a platformer, but you're constantly like kicking a football, which is absolutely awesome. And then I love Lego games, so Lego Star Wars the video game was also a great one. Then we have Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo Revival. Not as good as Street Fighter 2 on SNES, but still an awesome Street Fighter game. Then we have an awesome game, and that is Pac-Man Collection. Who doesn't love a little bit of Pac-Man? Then we have Crash Bandicoot XS, Game Boy Advance. This game is awesome. I love every Crash Bandicoot game. And along with this franchise as well, I love every Spyro game. And Spyro Season on Ice is a great game as well. You've got to get a bit of Tony Hawk in there. So we have Tony Hawk Underground 2. This game is so fun. Every Tony Hawk game is going to be great. And this one is no exception. Then we have a game that is one of my favourite franchises of all time, probably, and that is F-Zero. And F-Zero, what is this one called? Maximum Velocity is also an awesome game. And then next we have Super Monkey Ball Jr. Again, this is just another one of those franchises where all the games are great. I love Monkey Ball, and this is a pretty uncommon game. So if you see this one when you're out, I definitely suggest picking this one up. Next up we have a mini trilogy of games, and all three of these are absolutely awesome. So we have Sonic Advance, and then obviously Sonic Advance 2. And Sonic Advance 3. I don't really have a favourite of these. They're all just so good. But I would definitely suggest picking these one up if you haven't got them already. Sonic is just brilliant. I really enjoy Scooby-Doo, so I had to have Scooby-Doo and Scooby-Doo 2 on the Game Boy Advance. These are actually really good games. I have played both of these and they're actually really fun. Then we have two more racing games. One of them is pretty common, and that is GT Championship. You do see this one all the time, but it is a great racing game, but you never see this one. And that is GT Advance. I do prefer this one as well. I think GT Advance was a bit of a later release. I'm not sure, but I think this one was released a bit later than this one, and this is an awesome game. Next up, I've never played this one, and we have Jimmy Neutron Jet Fusion. I think this is like Nickelodeon, I'm not really sure about that. But I have played Robots, and this is a really fun game, actually. Then we have Simpsons Road Rage. In my opinion, never as good as Hit and Run, but still an awesome game. Sort of like a bit of a, like a Crazy Taxi clone, if you like. And then we have Dogs 2. I have tried this one, to be fair, and it's alright. Next up, we have a really tricky game to say, and that is Ed, Edd, and Eddy Game Boy Advance. I have no idea what this is. I've never seen it and never played it. And then we have Street Jam. This is a great game. I love all basketball games. Then we have Finding Nemo. This one I have played and it's alright. And then this one, 2 games in one. You have Columns and Choo Choo Rocket. This was only £3 at a car boot one week, so this was a great find. Then we have SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom. I have played this on the Game Boy Advance, and I think this got a PS2 release. I feel like I've played this on the PS2, but I'm not even sure if it was released on the PS2, but I feel like I've played that on the PS2. And FIFA 06, I have tried this one, and it's just another FIFA game, but it is pretty good. Then we have Disney's Atlantis. I've never seen the film, but the game is quite fun. And then we have Beyblade V-Force. I've had this game in the collection for quite a while now, and it is actually pretty good. Next up, we have another Aardman game, and that is Flushed Away, and I absolutely love the film and the game. And then we also have Salt Lake 2002. I love Olympic games like the compilation games, so this being a winter one makes it a bit different as well. Then we have Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. This isn't in the best condition, but I only paid £4 for this from Sore Thumbs in York. Next up, we have Lemony Snicket's and Series of Unfortunate Events. This game is actually sealed, which is absolutely awesome. I paid a really cheap price for this years ago. And then finally, the last game I have to show you, and that is Ace Lightning. Never played it, and I have no idea if it's any good or not. So yeah, that was my Game Boy collection. Game Boy, Game Boy Pocket, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, and Game Boy Micro. I hope you enjoyed seeing like a bit of the history about it as well, and also my entire collection. And let me know, what is your favourite Game Boy game you've ever played? And also let me know, did you enjoy this video? I usually just do videos of me like out and about and looking at games and stuff, but this is just a video that I did for my existing collection. But let me know, is this the sort of video you'd want to see done on like the SNES or anything like that? So let me know what you thought of this video down in the comments down below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all later. Bye!